Hello there. All year I've been talking to music teachers about a piece of equipment called the JamHub, and I've never played with one myself. And I get getting requests saying, is it any good? Can you have a look at them? Can you tell us about them? It's a very new kind of idea and quite a simple one, and I think people need to know whether it's a good idea done well or a good idea done badly. But the idea is to try and make life in the classroom and in rehearsal studios a little bit more bearable and a little bit more less dangerous on the ear. Now in school that's crucial. The number of complaints that music teachers generate for affecting the rest of the school and polluting the atmosphere with noise is ridiculous. We're a noisy subject, musicians, and that's just the way it is. But can we do something about it? Well, thanks to the kind people at JamHub, I've got a bedroom model of the JamHub here, and I've had a big play of it for a few days, and I love it. I think it's a really, really good piece of equipment, really well executed and really well done. I think you should look at them if you have got limited space in a music department, or you've got lots of students wanting to make music at the same time. So a way of really looking at keeping the noise down. This is the bedroom model. It's got 4 instruments, and you can actually get another one in to sort of make it 5. There are 2 other models which are a bit bigger. There's the green room model and the tour bus model. Now the bedroom model comes in at about 230, 250 kind of pounds. And I think that's really good value and quite worth it. The green room model is about 350, and the tour bus model, which has got a built-in recorder, is something like 550 quid. You can probably get by with using one of these and having a number of these in your classroom and different groups using them all at the same time. I think that will be a really interesting use of it. If you have a look on the JamHub website, and you'll see the details in the notes, they've got some photographs of schools and colleges and universities that are using JamHubs and showing how they can be used and the sort of rooms that they would be suitable for. I certainly think these could be used as an individual room or with 3 or 4 of these in one room. I'd love to see some examples of it being used in that way. So here's the JamHub itself. It's all set up and all plugged in and working wonderfully. It's lovely quality. It's quiet. It's easy to use. I think it's a fantastic little device, and it's quite robust. I think that's one of the main concerns I think teachers would have is this going to break? Well, there are a lot of knobs, and in the school environment, a lot of breakages could happen with knobs being bashed and knocked, with instruments being turned around and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure that's going to happen, I'm afraid. But actually, the construction is nice and robust. It does feel quite solid. And if you make sure that the learners look after it and treat it with some reverence, I think you'll find you'll get a good number of years of use out of it. This particular model has got 4 kind of sections for each player, and you can do another section at the back, so you can do 5 on this one. But basically this is for 4 players, so you'd have your guitarist, your bass guitarist, your electronic drummer and a keyboard player, for example, or whatever you've fancied. You can use them in any way. They're all completely flexible. At the moment I've got a guitar and a microphone plugged into section 1 here. One thing you do have to do is plug in all your instruments using the stereo cable. Now, they do supply you with a converter. These things are going to be like gold dust, I think. So an ordinary jack-to-jack 1/4-inch guitar lead needs to be converted into a stereo. So you need these little converters. And you're going to need a bag of these. I think these are one things that are going to be very, very sought after and very, very needed in school. So there you go, your guitar plugged in using a stereo lead into the instrument, into that section. Microphone using an ordinary XLR goes into there as well, and you set the balances using the controls. You would then listen, the person that is the player that's going to use section 1 listens on headphones which are plugged in as well using another stereo headphone 1/4-inch jack. So this complete section is now full of inputs, if you like. The instrument itself, the microphone, and then the headphones to be able to listen to it. And then each other player would do the same sort of thing. So each player can plug in their instrument and a microphone. You can have 4 microphones and 4 sets of headphones and 4 instrument inputs. And that's the brilliant thing, is that it's a mixer. It's mixing those things together, but it gives each person their own individual headphone mix straight back out, so that each player can make the sound suit their needs. And that's really, really useful for a rehearsal situation. Excellent concept, excellently done. Here we go. Now, as you can see, there are lots of small little knobs, and they might look really confusing. Well, actually, I don't think they're that complicated, and I think you and the learners will get the hang of these knobs quite quickly. Now, they are quite fiddly, and someone who's got fat fingers like myself, you can easily knock one knob while you're changing another knob, and you know, you need to be a bit more careful and a bit less clumsy than I am. I'm quite a clumsy chap, and I think you need to be a bit more careful about it. But they are fine, and they all work really, really well. They're all so straightforward, and they all are really, really well thought out and well designed. There's a couple of these knobs which have got two functions, an internal ring and an external ring, and you need to be sort of aware that you might knock one while you're working on the other. But I mean, it's just a matter of care. I think you just need to think it through just a little bit and make sure that the learners understand what they're doing. It comes with a fair amount of documentation. There's a really well thought out manual. I love the manual, the way it's set out into a left brain, right brain approach. I think that's really clever and really fun. The manual can be used for the learners, and there is also a sheet which you can photocopy, stick on the wall or laminate and all that kind of stuff to make sure that everybody can have a copy of it or keep good access to it to show how it works. Now, of course, all the instrumental parts will require their own effects bus. There is nothing but a dry-in for the guitar. The guitar that is going to go into this is the guitar that you're going to hear in the mix. So if you do want to have an effect or a distortion or any of the pedal kind of effects, they need to be done before they get to the JamHub. So you need to have this plugged into the output of your effects box or the effects part of your amplifier. So again, a stereo lead out of your effects box into the JamHub. Guitar into amp, amp into JamHub. There is an effects section built in. That's what this. There's an effects knob here, and you control the balance of it there. Now that effects unit is only for the microphones that are going to go into this. The microphone section you can effect, so the vocal parts you can effect, but the instrumental parts you can't effect. These need the effects that are built into the instruments themselves. So your guitar, your bass, your electronic drums, you can't change the effect on them, only using the effects that are built into the instruments or the electronic part of the instruments themselves. That's quite straightforward. It actually works quite well because you're not going to get overcomplicated effects then. The effects aren't going to clash between the guitar and the keyboard and the bass. You're not going to have effect piled up on effect. It's up to the instruments to make sure that they sound right before they get into the JamHub. And if you want to add anything to the vocal mix, then you can use this effects. The effects are okay actually. They're not too bad. I find them quite rich, and I need to when I was mucking about with it, I kept the effects mix turned down quite a bit. If you were going to use 4 microphones in here to rehearse, say, a vocal trio or to rehearse a choir, then I don't think you're going to need that much FX to make it usable. So all of the music comes out of the headphones, and all of the players have their own headphones and can have their own individual mix. It's such a straightforward and simple idea, and this piece of equipment does it really, really well. You can have 2 or 3 groups going off in the same room, I would have thought, without any problem. People would talk through the microphones that are connected in, they listen through the headphones, they never take the headphones off, they communicate internally in their own little world. I think that would work an absolute treat. The only noise you would hear in the class is the acoustic sound of an electric guitar, which isn't too loud, and the sound of the singers. And that might not be too much of a problem, too much of a distraction in a group. You could certainly have more than one group in a class. So I think they're excellent little things and very straightforward to use. Certainly the learners themselves will get the hang of this no time at all, and will see the benefits of using one of these.